Today on The Balanced Voice, we're delighted to present a very special episode as we open our doors to students for the very first time. At this year's Texas Campus Crime Stoppers Conference, Yaratsen and Liliana caught our attention with their articulate insights on cell phone usage in the cyber world during a seminar put on by previous Balanced Voice podcast guest, Parent ProTech. Their thought-provoking contributions during the seminar inspired us to extend an invitation, making them our inaugural student guest on the podcast. We couldn't be more excited to offer our listeners the student perspective on numerous cyber safety-related topics that have been central to our discussions over the years. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to both Yaratsen and Liliana for engaging in a meaningful conversation with Rania Jenn and for enriching our audience with such valuable insights into the modern teenage experience. This is The Balanced Voice.
We just finished our Texas Crime Stoppers Campus Conference, which was so fun. 2.5 days. You guys are here. Remind us where you're from.
Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, Texas. Together in school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so it's Yaratsen and Liliana. Welcome. You just finished the conference. Jen had the best question in terms of?
First question was, out of the whole week the sessions that you've been, what stood out to you? What was the biggest thing that stood out to you?
The performance right now of JKL. That one, it really caught my attention.
Nice.
What about it caught your attention?
Just the way he says that he knows that teachers and school activities and stuff like that do make an impact on students, because most people just think it's just activities. You could do that on your own time, but having that social life with other people that do the same thing you like to do, and competing and doing all of that type of stuff, it's actually important. It makes an impact on students.
I love, though, that some of the stuff he mentioned, a lot of kids won't be able to do, normally. He said some of these kids, it was their first time flying. It was their first time surfing. It was their first time. That's really neat, that there are people that care and want to create activities that are not common. What was your favorite part?
Mine was the Be Nice one.
Oh, good.
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, so the mental health action
Yes.
plan. Okay, what about it?
Because I feel like it spoke out a lot, some people weren't going to go up and be I don't know how to say it, say how they're feeling, but to be able to text someone anonymously, I feel that'll help a lot. If I wanted to talk to someone, I feel it will be worse to talk to them face to face, because I wouldn't want them to know me breaking down and stuff. But anonymously texting them, I feel it would just be better.
It feels better. Feels more private. You can be more vulnerable without anybody else knowing, right?
Do you think more kids need an anonymous resource to share what they're feeling?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's sad. Honestly, it's a little sad that we have to do things anonymously, because again, what people think right now of snitching, no, you're not snitching, you're gonna help. Eventually you could even be saving someone's life from because any situation could go to another and another and another.
I feel we're just scared to be judged.
Yes, most and that goes with snitching, because we don't want to have that name of being a snitch.
Yeah, you don't want anybody to make fun of you or get upset with you or negative feelings. So you think we need more resources that allow y'all to reach out. What about the follow-on? Let's say something that you tell an anonymous line or somebody anonymously that you're in danger. You think there should be action at the back end of that to come and help you, or to find somebody to get to you?
I don't understand the question.
So let's say if you call it an anonymous line, right, and you text something, this is how I'm feeling, and let's say a student is texting that, and we realize that it's possibly something about suicidal, somebody being suicidal. Do you think that there should always be an action on the end to help that person that's potentially suicidal,
definitely.
Or in the wrong crowd, or?
Yes, it is important for that, because I feel like most students, the reason why they don't speak up, it's because they see that sometimes people do and nothing's being done.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's so hard.
Yes.
They feel like they're speaking out, speaking up, taking a chance, putting themselves not at risk, but a little bit at risk, and then help doesn't come.
Yeah, it's like just talking and talking, but not being listened.
Oh.
Interesting.
I'm curious to ask you guys, because I keep thinking about this myself, and Jen and I have talked about it. We've talked about it on the podcast. You know, when we were younger, girls like looked a certain way. For me, they all played soccer. You know, they all did this, and if you were different, you were really different because most of the girls were similar, or all tried to become similar to be popular and fit in. Now, I think you guys can be whatever you want to be. You can play this sport, not play any sport.
You don't have to be an athlete or popular.
You can do whatever you want. And the judgment is not there. Like the bullying is not like it used to be. But I'm asking, like,
is that true?
Is that true? Because I feel like you guys they're so diverse now. You can be into anything and like anybody and have friends here or have friends online or have friends where. But is that true or not? Am I?
Well, bullying is everywhere.
It is.
And tell us, when you say bullying, what do you
everywhere.
mean by bullying?
Like yesterday, I forgot who was giving that presentation in the first one about bullying. Like it comes from your friends, and yes, we have all these groups like the basketball players, the theater students, the art students. And yes, we each have our individual group where like we feel safe, but in there is some type of bullying, like people making fun of other people. And honestly, I do think it's getting worse.
Wow.
Think it's getting
That's
worse?
interesting. Now think about this. When we were in school, because we're so damn old, it was you had athletes, you had cheerleaders, you had, like you said, theater, you had emo or those who were goth, like you had. And those groups were like, oh, look at that, like that kind of bullying. But what you're saying now is inside the community of people that you are like, that you find as a little group, are what we call intra-bullying or intra-judging. Rather than it being that one against that one, it's inside the nucleus. Okay, that's not good.
And you're explaining it as people. I'm very curious because we don't have young students on the podcast ever. You're the first students we've had on the podcast, so it's so nice that we get to talk to you. I always ask, I have 3 daughters, and I always say, is it bullying or is it being mean? Because there's a difference, right? Being mean is like we all do that intentionally or unintentionally, and it's not okay. But bullying is like you become a target, and it kind of keeps going. And there's some difference of like power, like I'm getting other people against you. Is it that strong, or is it just more people are mean?
Sometimes it is as strong. Sometimes it's even constant.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's like all different.
So like the consistency or it being constant, it like kind of turns like maybe they're just being mean, but it keeps going and it feels like then bullying. So it kind of goes up.
And you two are so interesting because we're at a conference with about 170 people, and you two chose to come and ask to be on the podcast. We got parental approval to share and to talk. What is your hope to say today? You know, if you want to talk about the experience of kids your age, what you want adults to know. We talked about trust on phones. That's been a big conversation this week. Like pick anything.
Yeah, what made you want to come and talk to us?
Helping everyone, especially the kids, and not just talking about teenagers like the ones in high school, but also middle school, elementary for sure, because it all starts like when you're young, and then you go on to middle school and then high school, and then I think it's more important when kids talk about it, just because when adults talk about it, most students or kids or teens are like, well, they don't understand us. Yes. Like, they're not in our shoes. Different times. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're not relevant to you.
Yes, like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, well, that was your life. But when the student talks about it, it's like, no, I'm in your shoes too. I know what you feel. I get you. But then we also understand the adults because I see all of y'all's point of view of trying to help. And I feel like most students don't see that. They just go on the bad side of, you don't understand me.
But do you think kids are equipped to help each other?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
How?
Why?
Like
Yeah.
we can make a difference in our own
Generation.
Just us,
Yes.
How?
By communicating a lot, honestly, like communication is very like strong. If you get along with someone, you can like help that person and then spread like the word of what's good and what's wrong.
Yeah, and talking about like what kids are too afraid to like speak up until an adult.
But I worry about that what you guys are dealing with is so, it can easily become very dangerous. Like, it's not just chatting online, you could be chatting with a predator. You know, it's not just buying something online, you could be sharing like personal information and become a victim of identity. I mean, the issues you deal with are so complex, like but you feel like amongst your own, you can handle them. You don't need an adult to intervene.
I think there's a middle ground there.
Yeah, there
just
has
like
to be a
y'all,
middle
just
ground.
like y'all are here learning more about campus safety, public safety, and you care, right? You're a small percentage of students that actually get involved on this topic, right? Are you saying that we need to have more forums like this, more training like this, more opportunities for us to take our adult knowledge and wisdom and pass it on to you so that y'all can also be part of the front line of helping
Yes.
and spreading that word?
Like having more adults involved, yes, but also with children, with teens, people that like understand, because again, like that does help. Like right now, maybe I listened to everything and I took everything to consideration, but I don't know, there could be other students that are just kind of like, oh, okay, came through one year,
Out the other.
Out the
out
other.
the other.
But
Yeah.
my problem is it's very hard to ask kids to get up like on a stage, you know, or get a microphone and start sharing and talking about their real
Feelings, or what they're going through. Yeah.
concerns, issues, fears. Not snitching, but telling, you know, well, in our school, kids are doing, you know, whatever. So do you think more kids actually want to be challenged to do that?
That takes us back to the subject of us being afraid to get judged.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I think.
So because of that, do you think, well, one or two, right? So because you're afraid to get judged, because it's a hard thing to do to get up on a stage,
yeah.
do you think there's something we can do to help young people feel more comfortable with that so that you can be more of the front line?
Because you want to hear from students, you're saying.
Yes, and honestly, that doesn't just come from home or school. It comes like from everything. Every person that surrounds you, everything that is around you. Because, for example, yeah, parents, we live with our parents. But if we think about it, we're mostly in school.
Yeah.
Because we're just home to go to
hours.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends.
That makes me sad.
I know.
Yeah, so
It's the
our
same for work,
actual
right?
home
of course,
is school. We only sleep at home. And parents, I feel like they should be a little more involved in what's going on, but not in the type of being strict or being like controlling. It's more of like, know your kid, but don't be a friend with your kid.
Yeah.
Because there's something about being an involved parent and trying to be your kid's your kid's friend. Because then that's when you like cross that boundary, and your respect, like there has to be a level of respect with you and your parent, you know? And what I mean by parents being more involved and knowing their children is like, what do they like? Like, why do they act like they do? You know, like being a little more understanding. Not like, oh, okay, I'm understand you, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No, more of like, why are you acting this way? What is affecting you? What do you like to do? Because some kids will not open up to your parents like, oh, this is going on, that's why I'm acting like this. But there's also different ways, like trying different things. Let's see what you like. Like, okay, you like soccer, let's go play soccer. I know most parents don't have time because, you know, like hardworking parents and there's bills to pay, school and all of that. But also the family, that's where everything comes up, like where every single thing is important. Seeing the school, their teachers, knowing if their teachers are involved too in their life, because that makes a big impact.
Yeah.
Teachers?
Yes, teachers make
involved.
a big impact on us. It's like some teachers could be our safe place. Some teachers could be, if we're not safe at home, then we're safe at school. If we're not safe at school, we could be safe at home. And also friends are the environment we choose to be in. But again, that part does come from home, because it's like what you're being taught. If we're used to being, I don't know, ignored by our parents, then we're gonna like being the environment of being ignored by our friends. And that's where the bullying comes from. Not exactly bullying, but that's when students start to feel alone. Like, I don't have anyone in my life. My parents ignore me, my parents don't understand me, and I have now this circle of friends where they also ignore me, but they see it normal.
Tell me this.
That's very
You
interesting.
have 100%, right? What percentage do you believe out of your friend group of the people that you know in high school, do you think their parents are involved at the level at which you think they need to be involved?
Probably like 20%.
Only 20%. So 80%.
But why are you saying that?
We see.
Yeah.
Like the parents are too busy, or?
Yeah, sometimes it's parents are too busy, but I feel like there's also like a way to like communicate with your kids even if you're busy. For example, there could be parents that you're always working, but I don't know, a text, and I love you text, I love you. There's a lot of parents that don't say I love you to their kids, or I'm happy for you. I've also noticed a lot that like some parents could be happy one day for like, oh, good grades, this and that, but then one bad grade, and all those good grades,
Everything's
a whole story. Yeah.
all those.
Oh,
good
talking about
grades
Middle Eastern parents.
Oh, I know. My parents weren't like that. My mom
really?
was. My dad wasn't. But I think what you're talking, it's so, like, I wish everybody would hear this, because a lot of people say teens are difficult, they don't want to be managed, and they don't really care about their parents. And I don't believe that. I think teens are going through a lot of changes, and they are desperate for their parents. They are desperate for their parents. And what do we do as a parent? We have graceful love, which means we want to show grace because we love you, and it's our job to take care of you.
Restate that. What we should be all doing as parents
is to show
showing grace. We don't all
graceful
do
love.
that.
We don't do that. But it's like, I understand you got a C because the subject's hard for you, but you'll get an A next time. Or I understand you're tired, and it's okay. I saw that you did this. It's not what you should be doing. Let me tell you why.
That's right. Here are some other solutions or options.
So it's not like we're best friends. Oh, go out and do whatever because I want you to like me. Because you're right, you're not going to respect me as your parent. But what the heart of what you're saying is a child who doesn't feel that protective love from even a busy parent, which you would feel even with a text that says, I love you. A child that doesn't feel that love and that support can sometimes end up accepting a situation in school where they don't feel
love and support. So what they're basically,
like
what you're saying
circle.
is it's full circle. If this is what you're getting at
circle.
home, this is what you're expecting from the outside world.
But then do you see a flip side where, and we've seen this, where the kid that's really aggressive, maybe the biggest bully, is the one who has the hardest home life.
Yeah.
Right? So you can act out in two ways. You can either become the victim or you can become the aggressor. So how do we change that? How do we make all kids feel safe and loved no matter what?
I think she kicked on it, and it's called an upstander.
Yeah.
It's the people that are the bystanders, the people on the outside watching negative things happen that aren't maybe involved in the situation, that can step up and step in and be like, hey, that's not cool to do that, dude, right? Or, hey, let me help you out. You're, if they're being victimized or something. So,
or the kids who are disruptors.
Or just
the kids who will say, no, don't bully.
Yeah, you're not going to do this.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah,
the kids
I
who
ended
are
up in the
leaders.
principal's office because of that. But
Are you going to share now? Or
no.
Okay, I'm like, you're kind of leaving
trauma.
us hanging.
But here's okay. Now let's go to yesterday. The way you and I met yesterday was when they were talking about phones and parents stalking on phones and monitoring phones. I was like, you've got to have a relationship with your kid, build a trust-based relationship so they'll share proactively. And I may have dropped an F-bomb about it, and then
No, you did. You didn't.
Okay. Okay, I did drop an F-bomb about it.
All the kids.
Because I felt like I when I was looking around the room, I felt like I was saying what I saw people were thinking, right? When there was a person in the audience that was saying, well, I do this and I did it. And I'm like, hey, there are different stages of these kids' lives that you need to, when they're young, stalk everything. When they get to middle school, throughout then you're building a relationship. When high school, they want a little bit, we are growing you. It's almost ironic. We are growing you to someday be independent.
Yeah, of course.
But along your path, we want you to depend on us.
Yeah.
Those things are not together, right? So tell me, I want to understand specifically from you, what does a healthy relationship with you and your parents and social media look like?
I think...
For high schoolers.
Oh, for high schoolers? Well, right now, most students, like, I be seeing how they block their parents from a lot of things. Me personally, I have my mom on all of my social media. I have nothing to
Yeah,
hide.
you're a
when
good
she was
girl.
young. Go ahead.
And I see some parents like, oh, you have your mom on social media? I'm like, yeah. And they say, oh, me too, but I block her from my stories. I'm like, I don't block my mom from my stories. Even if I wanted to, she has a lot of accounts.
She's like hidden accounts.
Well, that's actually interesting.
And I know my mom's account because, again, we have that relationship.
Open relationship.
Yes, that open relationship where it's not a friendship, because I wouldn't want to call that a friendship because she's my mom, not my friend. I love her, I respect her, and I trust her. But I'm not going to disrespect her, because I feel like once you get into that friendship with your kids, the respect is gone. Even if you're not disrespecting, it's still like you don't see your parent as your parent.
As your role model anymore.
It's not your role
become your
model
equal.
anymore. It's just like, it's like a friend. Like, let me tell you what's going on. Oh.
So right now, if y'all have a good relationship and you have trust with your parent, what does that look like? Do you every once in a while give your mom your phone? Does she take your phone every once in a while, like, hey, let me take a look who's connected to you? What does that look like?
My mom doesn't take away my phone or go through it. Sometimes I could just leave my phone on the table. My mom knows all my passwords. Sometimes if she's like, oh, can I do something on your phone real quick? I know she's not going to go through it.
Yeah.
And if she
would
wants
it bother you
okay.
if she went through
No,
it? Yeah.
It wouldn't bother
And I
me.
think that's my point. We have to get to that point.
Yeah.
That, to Jen's point, we've got to raise you based on your age, expand our trust with you, but you should never think at any point that this is completely private and mine, and even if you want to look at it, you can't look at it. That's my point.
Because if we need to step in, we got to be able to step in. Like,
I understand that, and I feel like that comes all the way since kids start school.
Yes,
I don't mean high
100%
school.
agree.
I don't
Or the
mean
minute we
middle
put this in their hands.
I mean,
We're
like
saying, like,
pre-K, I don't know,
kindergarten.
kindergarten.
No, I agree with you.
And that doesn't start by, oh, tell me who is this.
Yeah.
It's like, how was school?
Yes.
And like, oh, I had this one friend, I don't know, Ashley. And like, oh, who's Ashley? Oh, this and that. Like, oh, we did this and that in the playground. And oh, that's so cool. And then later on, how are you and Ashley doing?
So you're saying start the conversation early,
like,
so they're
how
used to the
school?
conversation.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it makes
then
me so happy
what
to
did
hear.
you do?
So totally. Right.
Like, what did you do in school besides going on the playground? Because most kids at that age are gonna talk about, I was playing this, I was playing that.
Yeah.
But what about your teacher? Because that's when we also gotta see the impact your student is having your kid is having with their teachers in school, and that's like, oh, what about your teacher? How do you like your teacher? Some students will say, like, I don't know right now what's going on in that little world, but most kids are very open at that age. Yes. And that's when that
you have
comes
to build
about.
it.
Yeah.
You have to build that, like, oh, what about your teacher? And then, oh, my teacher this, she's so cool. Or like, oh, well, my teacher's kind of mean. Why is she mean? You know, like, what's going on? And then, oh, well, she yelled at the student. Why? And then that's when the relationship starts building up. Like, you start talking to your kid, but it's nothing disrespectful. It's not like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it's accusational.
it's
sharing.
like
You're forming
having
a relationship
conversation
on trust, based on
yes.
trust, and
Also,
being
like,
open.
when you're, like, eating, I see a lot of kids on their phone and not having, like, a conversation with their parents. That's also when you have the conversation in middle school, like, oh, when they start middle school, I don't know, 6th grade, I don't know if where y'all live it's different, but with us it's we start in 6th grade. It's like, who were your teachers? Did you like your new classes? Because that's when we start having electives. It's like, did you like your electives? And yeah or no, what did you not like about it? And because that's where I feel like most parents want to control what their kids do in school, classes. I see a lot of people in my school that are like, oh, well, my parents want me to take AP classes. Oh, well, my parents want me to take this. And then I see that they don't know what they want. And they struggle with a lot of, like, anxiety. That creates anxiety, and I'm gonna say why. A lot of students start getting the anxiety of, what am I going to do in life? I don't even know what I like.
And
because your parents making all the decisions.
Because your parents make all the decisions. And it's like, my parent wants me to be an engineer. But I'm in an engineering class, and I don't really like it. And that's when...
My kid's like the total opposite. I don't get to make any of Georgie's decisions. He's like he made a decision. Remember, when he made a decision to go off to school, he made a decision.
And maybe it's a parent that senses, okay, this child knows what they want and has direction, and this child needs guidance.
Yeah, so there's a balance between guidance. You have to guide too.
Parents, I always tell my kids, like, you see this much of the world. I see this much of the world. And I actually see beyond what you see. And I actually know, parents who are paying attention, they know their kids' talents, the good and the bad. And sometimes... Listen,
it's like you want to put little guardrails and, like, okay, but you can't like control every movement.
But you also can see the potential.
That's right.
And maybe they say, well, I don't want to be an engineer because I don't like math. Well, actually, you actually are very good at math, and maybe in time you will. So it's a give and take. But I think if we push too much, it's anxiety for you.
And that's why it comes with like the middle school part, because that's when you start choosing your electives. Right? Like, you could choose advanced math or not. For example, I was in advanced ELA. Ever since I was in middle school. I've never liked ELA.
English language arts?
I'll be so honest, yes. Yeah. I have never liked it. It's very hard for me. It's difficult. So I tell my mom, I'm like, I struggle. I'm not having good grades. It's not helping me having an advanced class. And she tells me, okay, what do you want to do? Like, I want to drop advanced. I want to have, well, obviously I have to have ELA, but I'm like, I want to drop the advanced and I want to stay on regular to see if that's going to help me. Yeah. And she's like, okay,
That's the best combination.
Yes.
Tell me what an unhealthy relationship is like with the parent and social media. What does an unhealthy relationship look like in you have friends that obviously, you have a good relationship with your mom and she has access to your stuff.
You guys are both on social media.
But y'all have friends, right? Okay. You have friends that their parent probably stalk through their phone.
They go through their phone like every day, tells them, oh, give me your phone. Like,
and those friends are still able to hide stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
strict parents create sneaky kids.
It's
like,
so
before
true.
giving
all the
phone,
time.
They, like, remove every app. Like,
I know.
it's just bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Strict parents create sneaky kids.
Because my mom tells me, she's like, I won't go through your phone. I won't go through your room. All I want to know is, like, just tell me stuff. Like, don't keep stuff away from me. Don't make me, like, don't lose my trust. Yeah. Like, I'll trust you. Like, I'll give you your privacy. Just don't ruin it. Like,
Yes.
But you understand what we're saying in terms of the things you could come across are really dangerous.
Yes.
How many times has a person that you didn't know,
did or didn't? I didn't hear you.
Did and didn't.
Okay.
Know, who like said something that was kind of pervy, that was kind of
So like, how many times did a person you did or didn't know online say something that was sexually inappropriate?
Yes.
I don't think that has happened.
Yeah.
There was like this old lady that texted me if I wanted to be her sugar baby.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's inappropriate.
I wonder if they don't gauge it the same though.
Yeah.
Because it was interesting when you started talking about bullying. We did a teen meeting it was actually a year ago, and the kid said to me, we're desensitized. We don't recognize bullying anymore because it's everywhere. We don't even recognize it. And I wonder if you guys don't recognize inappropriate content because you see it everywhere. Remember, you and I were talking yesterday.
Yes.
And you said people will send you links and you know it's inappropriate.
Yes.
So
that's one time.
I think they're not recognizing it.
The way we do. So like inappropriate links. Hey girl, you look good.
Or click here,
Like somebody you don't
whatever.
even know. Like that didn't see what you look like today. How many times
Does
now
that change the answer?
Yeah.
Are you seeing it?
How many times now? Now that we explain, it could be an inappropriate link. Hey girl, you look good. You don't even know that person. Hey, DM me, or hey, do you want to meet here?
Or hey, you're cute.
You're
Whatever.
cute. Like
that's everywhere.
Yeah, that is
honestly.
everywhere.
so now
Yeah.
what's
we
the
change-
answer?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
If
that
you said no
is.
before, now how many times do you think somebody has done that to you?
Oh, to me, no one. Because that comes like from the circle you want to be in, the relationships you like. But there's always gonna be that one kid for sure. That's like
Look, she knows the
over
name of the
here
person she's thinking of right now.
harassing you.
Yeah.
And always trying to, well, not exactly harass me. I don't know, like always trying to talk to you and have your attention, but it's like, no, I don't want you.
So it happens.
Yes, it happens a lot. Also with like ads, posts, and stuff like that from like other different things that we don't add. Code words, emojis, also. Yeah. All of that.
So now you're
We
saying
see
that.
it.
So
You
so
do
now that
see
you're
it.
talking about it's going up. Originally you said none.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh, okay, you're talking about that. Okay, yes. You're talking about that. Then
And that's
yes.
just that's just where we are as a culture.
That's where we are as a culture.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's really, really, so we have to wrap up. Everybody leaves Houston today in in a little while. Are there sort of like a takeaway statement you want parents to hear or us adults to hear as we wrap up our conversation?
Just listen to your kids.
Listen to your kids.
But listen.
Like listen to every single
Yes.
thing. Don't just like hear them. Just like listen.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a tagline. Listen to your kids, but listen.
Yeah.
Not just
Yes.
listen, but listen.
Communication, and let them make their own decisions. Not of like, do whatever you want. No. There's also like
Let
boundaries.
let them have a say in the decision process.
Yes, like,
and talk about
but
it
mom, but dad, I don't like this class. Why? This part, it's not catching me. Okay, what do you think catches you? This. And even if at the end they don't like it, they're trying it.
Yes.
You know, and that way they get to see what they like, and they're gonna be happy, believe me. That's why school makes an impact. What you try and what you like is, because again, if you don't have a safe place at home,
School is your safe
if you
place.
find it in school,
Yeah.
school is your safe place, and you're gonna be happy. And we have less like suicidal like thoughts in children and like suicide things that happen with kids. I feel like that makes a big impact.
Yaratsen and
yes.
Lily, thank you. Young student leaders, obviously, here at the Texas Campus Crime Stoppers conference that just wrapped up today. Thank you so much for being with
you.
us
Thank you
for having us.
on this episode of the Balanced Voice podcast. And to everybody else, we'll catch you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Balanced Conversation. You can find real solutions and tangible resources in our show notes at thebalancedvoicepodcast.com. To join the conversation, follow us on Instagram at The Balanced Voice Podcast and on Twitter at @BalancedVoice_. Stay up to date on Rania's work by following her at The Rania Report, and we can't wait to see you next week for another Balanced Conversation.